Sheeta Davis, Really Nourish. This is my follow-up to Dirty Food is Cheap. Clean food is cheaper. Dirty food is actually more expensive. I will prove this to you. For starters, have you ever wondered why you have to pay for food in the first place? Clean, nourishing food is your God-given birthright. Shouldn't you have it for free? Instead, you have more month than money. You have to choose between groceries and bills. You have to buy dirty food because you can't afford clean organic food. So you eat what your income can afford you, what your government subsidizes with your tax dollars, food grown with poisonous chemicals from tainted seeds in an unjust system, and you have no say in any of it. This is not God's will for you. What if you only had to pay for 30% of your food every month, and the other 70% cost you nothing? So even if at times you are flat broke, you and your family could still eat well. What if I told you that up until about 200 years ago, all the food was clean, full of nutrients, and mostly free of charge to every man, woman, and child on earth? What if I told you that in those days there was almost no obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, kidney or liver disease, autism, Alzheimer's, clinical depression, bipolar disorder, etc., 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 and there was no such thing as world hunger? Hard to imagine, right? What changed? The food system changed. As food became a commodity to be bought and sold, small landholders got pushed off their land so that large farmers could grow larger, and big food was born. Here's what followed. Small farmers who've been displaced now moved to city slums to become waged workers. Cities grew, and people moved further and further away from their food sources. So corporations, now using the new labor pool, grew more powerful over the food supply. There's more. Then we got hugely subsidized farms in developed and emerging nations, which caused huge, artificially created surpluses in a narrow range of crops. And because supermarkets pretty much establish our food standards now, and their standard is uniform food, everything looks the same. Have you ever noticed that? Piles of fruit and vegetable all looking so standard. Does that seem natural to you? Here's the math, Americans. We spend about $4,000 per household per year on USDA farm subsidies out of our tax dollars. On top of that, we still spend about $6,000 per household per year on groceries, having to buy virtually every piece of food we eat. 99% of the farm subsidy money goes to huge, chemical-dependent industrial farmers that grow wheat, soy, corn, rice, cotton, and tobacco. By the way, fruit and vegetable farmers, including the organic growers, collectively only get less than 1% of this subsidy money because the USDA considers these specialty crops. Here's the system. In the developed nations, more than 50% of over-subsidized wheat, soy, and corn gets fed to cows, pigs, and chickens, food that only the wealthier half of the world's population can afford. The rest makes up the cheapest, most nutrient-poor food you can buy, much of which gets exported. It becomes the raw materials of processed, standardized foods sold in supermarkets worldwide. Or it gets dumped in the form of humanitarian food aid. Developing nations, who are doing fine without outside help in general, say, we already grow corn or wheat or rice here. But then developed nations created surpluses in those crops in their farms by over-subsidizing them. So instead of changing their subsidy programs to cut back on production, they forcefully create new markets for these crops. They use various methods to coerce your government to accept cheaper than cost price imports of these foods and charge lower import taxes on them, and effectively put your farmers out of business. As prices gradually rise over time, as your country became more and more import dependent, the problems of food insecurity and lifestyle diseases grow worse because now you're trapped in the global food system. In this global food regime, the world population is about 7.5 billion. We produce enough food for about 10 billion, and yet more than 1 billion are starving, and another 1.5 billion are at least overweight. Many are obese, but they're still undernourished. Clearly, this system is not working. They say the world is overpopulated. God said, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. He is Jehovah Jireh. He knows how many people there are, and He can provide for all of us. We can change all this, you know, if we went back to growing more of our own food in our own backyards and communities. We could all spend much less, eat much better, and make a powerful impact to fix this broken world food system. In the countryside, we need bold land reforms to redistribute land back to the rural poor, the peasant farmer, and the indigenous communities from whom it was unjustly stolen. We could completely retool the farm subsidy program to encourage conversion of land to organic regenerative agriculture, to provide starter seed for a wide range of crops, heirloom varieties and medicinal plants, and to finance tools and training for small-scale farmers. In the cities and suburbs, let's give home gardeners subsidies for tools and starter seeds and seedling as well. Free training and chemical-free gardening for growing food with their land space instead of maintaining lawns. Everywhere in the world, encouraging community collaboration, encouraging exchange of food and information between neighbors. Every inch of public land should be used to grow food for all to partake in. Every school should teach children how to grow their own food, and every region should maintain a seed bank managed by locals to preserve the genetic heritage of their food. So now, the people control the food, the people control the seed, and with a new brand of propaganda, we can develop a culture of social food redistribution, from those with surpluses to those with deficits of food, so we can ensure that every man, woman, and child has access to their birthright. So here's a new math. Yearly household grocery bill was around $6,000. Now it's closer to $2,000. Your share of farm subsidies was $4,000 a year. Now it can be less than $1,000. In a new, more sensible subsidy program that really nourishes you. We didn't discuss your medical expenses in all this, did we? Yeah, those go down too, because better food plus less stress equals healthier people. For this to really work, you and I must be willing to rethink the whole concept of food. Less fast food, more slow food, prepared at home with fresh ingredients that don't come in packages. Less import food, more local food. I know you like bananas. If they grow where you live, enjoy them. But if not, find out what's in season close by and start enjoying that instead. less animals and animal-based foods, and more whole plants. Our insatiable appetite for flesh, cheese, milk, and eggs is a big part of why the global food crisis continues to get worse. As long as we keep eating them every day in these large amounts, they will keep using copious amounts of clean water that should be for people, food that should be for people, land that could feed more people growing plants than raising livestock, and fossil fuels to meet your demand. The only way to stop that train is to stop buying tickets. Less purchased food and more homegrown food. Make it a goal over the next year to grow more food for your family, whatever space you have, as a means of reducing your grocery bills. For this to work, nations must be willing to respond to the new, more nutrient and equality-oriented food demands of citizens by reprioritizing and regulating land markets, food markets, citizens' rights to clean, wholesome food regardless of their buying power, ecological sustainability in agriculture, and collaboratively retool the system of exchange of food across borders so that proper nutrition is always available to everyone. I know it sounds idealistic, but the way things are going, we need to change the whole game. Think about it this way. We have free education, free healthcare, free job programs, free libraries, free public Wi-Fi. Why can't we have free, clean, nourishing food? That's a basic human right, isn't it? Read more about this. Educate yourself. Be the first to get Securing Our Birthright, Clean, Healthy Food for All People as Ordained by God, my forthcoming book on Westbow Press. Click the link below to pre-order your copy today. In the meantime, buy less from Big Food. For my U.S. family, there's Thrive Market. Cleaner groceries at better prices and more convenient than supermarket shopping. Vote for cleaner food at lower prices with your dollars today. Click the link below to start your free trial. Then, when you're done watching this, go outside and start a garden, or join a community garden or a farm co-op. Remember that gardening was God's first job for and His first gift to mankind. Your next meal is your way of saying dirty food is no longer acceptable. This has been a Really Nourished Christian Food Activism production. Spread the word using #FoodSovereignty. We need everyone to get informed and get involved. For more information, get more information at reallyNourished.com. Subscribe to this channel and join our mailing list so you don't miss an update.